Guys, it's Cindy the Scrapologist. Thank you for coming back to my channel. I'm really excited to show you the new digital kit that I just rolled out in my shop today. It's called Victorian Wallpaper. I've been working on this for quite some time. I'm very proud of it. I think it's beautiful. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the history of Victorian wallpaper. This kit is based off of arsenic green. There was actually a lot of arsenic in Victorian wallpaper because they fell in love with this green color, and it doesn't seem to be showing up as vibrantly. Actually, here's the arsenic green. Um, it doesn't look as great on the computer screen. If you want to see the true colors, I would suggest you go over to the Etsy listing and take a look at it over there. Um, but as I flip through, I'm going to tell you a little story about arsenic wallpaper, and at the end, I'll give you some suggestions as to what you can do with this beautiful kit. Well, first of all, most of these will look just beautiful folded in half and placed in a journal as pages or as a cover. Look at what a gorgeous cover that would make. So they're pretty versatile. So Victorian wallpaper was brightly colored. It often featured floral designs. The Victorians loved vivid colors. So when Swedish chemist Carl Scheele discovered that when you mix arsenic with copper, it creates a bright green color, this became known as Scheele's green. Look how beautiful. And it quickly became the in color, especially for artists and home decorators, because it could be made into beautiful paints and pigments. So it ended up being everywhere during the Victorian period. It was in everything from food coloring to baby carriages. And by the end of the 19th century, it's estimated that as much as 65% of all wallpaper in the United States contained arsenic. So there's that green again. It's a very distinguished green. I told my printer to print these double-sided, but for some reason it only printed some of them double-sided. So I apologize if I flip it and it's white on one side. Well, we now know that arsenic wallpapers shed microscopic dust particles that can be inhaled or ingested, but during that time, people were dying by slow chronic poisoning. And it was just considered to be a mysterious and lingering illness, and it baffled physicians of that time. So one physician wrote of women taking ill and withdrawing into their wallpapered bedrooms to recover, not knowing that all the while they were inhaling air that was loaded with basically with death. There was a prominent doctor called Thomas Orton who nursed a family through a mysterious sickness that ultimately, unfortunately, killed all four of their children. And one of the things he started to do was to make notes about their home and its contents. He suspected poisoning, but he found nothing wrong with the water supply or the cleanliness of the home. But he did start to worry about the green wallpaper in their bedrooms. But amounts of arsenic that were deadly to children and the elderly were easily handled by healthy adults. They would metabolize it. So that's one of the reasons it took people so long to accept that arsenic wallpaper was deadly. Physicians of the time did start to try to educate people about the dangers, but they met with opposition. Again, look at how gorgeous this would be for a cover. Love it. They met with opposition, and interestingly, at the center of the controversy was William Morris. I'm sure you've heard of him. He was an artist and designer associated with the arts and crafts interior design movement, and he was the designer of the most famous wallpaper of the 19th century. His work is is absolutely amazing. If you've never looked at it, Google it. Look how pretty that is. Google it and look at some of his work. It's amazing. But the problem was he was the son of the man who owned the largest arsenic mine in the country. So, and by the 1870s, the Morris family, their name was producing over half of the world's supply of arsenic. So, a little bit of a conflict of interest there. So, people suspected arsenic wallpaper, but Morrison either didn't believe or claimed not to believe that arsenic was bad for you, and he actively spoke out against anyone who thought it was a health hazard. He said doctors have what he called witch fever, and a book was even written about this called Bitten by Witch Fever, all about the arsenic wallpaper. But again, there's more of the arsenic green. You'll see that color. That's the color throughout this whole kit. That's what ties it all together. So by 1885, Morris and other wallpaper makers finally stopped using arsenic in their papers because they were getting a lot of public pressure. So that is the interesting fact about arsenic wallpaper, and it kind of makes me look how pretty. It makes me worry about my house a little bit because my house is from 1820, and there's wallpaper in here in the rooms we haven't fixed yet, but it's so faded that I can't tell if any of it used to be green or not. It's all just dingy brown at this point. So kind of an interesting story, but gorgeous, gorgeous papers nonetheless. You get 35 or 36, I forget, you'll have to look at the Etsy listing, that print out, if you print out borderless like I did, they print beautifully on 8.5 by 11. And I also wanted to tell you that, as you know, if you follow me, when I make a digital kit, I end up with hundreds upon hundreds of test run prints. Some are a little off, like this. I ended up having to tweak that a little bit, so they're not perfect. This one's a little blurry. So they have issues. This one I was running out of ink and things started to get a little purple. But these are on really nice quality paper. I always print my digitals on satin paper because the ink sits on top instead of soaking in, and they turn out, this is one of my favorites, they turn out just much more vibrant if you print on a satin paper. So I have tons of these. If you want me to send you a pack of these, you can go over, I'll put the link below, but you can look in my D-stash section, and I have misprints from a lot of my digital kits in there, so you can go in there and you have the ability to choose which kit you want. So choose Victorian Wallpaper, and I'll send you a random pack of paper that's printed for you. So I started playing around with the kit a little bit, and I want to show you what I'm thinking in terms of what I'm going to do with it. I used this paper, this is a misprint. It's not actually supposed to be purple, but I like it, so I made it into an envelope. I love using my envelope punch board, and it makes a really pretty envelope. Especially I like it on the diagonal. And then I have this title that I pulled out of a book that says Forgive and Forget. This is from an antique book, and I thought I would just put that across the bottom like this, and maybe even take a piece of trim or lace and put it across the bottom, and that would be a beautiful envelope. That's one idea. I do have an envelope punch board, but you don't need one in order to make envelopes. So I always make lots of envelopes. They're really nice in journals. Then I was thinking I love this paper. This really shows the arsenic green in it, and it's kind of a bluish green background. So I thought I would fold that in half because that fits perfectly in a journal that I'm working on right now. And then I like this trim here, so I thought I would just maybe tear that off. It's a It's vintage paper. It's a vintage journal I'm working on, so I'm just tearing. I'm not doing any measuring or cutting or any neatness, or I'm trying not to be too neat. And I thought that this would make a really nice pocket there. So what I'm going to do is figure out where I want this to end up. And then I would glue that down on 3 sides and find something to put in the pocket, like a tag. This would be nice. I could cut that down into a tag or put it through my Sizzix machine and cut it into a nice shape, stick that in the pocket, put a little something in the corner. Could even use that. Stick that in the inside because I might use it on the other side, but that's another really quick idea. And then when I made the envelope, this envelope, I had a spare piece of paper left over. You see what color it's supposed to be versus what color it turned out because I was running out of ink. But I really thought this was pretty. Why waste it? So I thought that this would look nice in a journal that I'm working on right now as a side pocket. I would either put it like that or, let's see, no, I like it this way better. So I can do that and put it in my journal and glue it on 3 sides and have that be a nice pocket there, and my envelope would look pretty in there and would fit in there too. So it's a really super versatile kit, guys. You can do anything you want with it because it's just paper without, you can fussy cut some of the elements, but it's meant to be covers, journal pages, for collage, and there's just so many things you can use this for. So if you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. Check out the D-Stash if you want me to send you some pre-printed pages, and I promise this is safe to touch. No arsenic in these. All right, I hope that you found this interesting, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.